Shalom. Before I begin, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, HaKadosh. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well and teach well. Shalom and salutations to the fellow brethren and laborers that are laboring in this work as well. So this lesson that I'm going to be getting into today is going to be about how, these other nations, they they rejoice at our downfall, and that's something that basically gets they get off on, that they um, enjoy seeing. And there's 17, 18 nations on the planet Earth, you know, and the nation of Israel being one of those 18. But the other 17, apart from the nation of Israel, they have an evil eye towards us. You see? Why? Because those are our enemies, beginning with the so-called white man, Esau Edom. All right? And he's been an enemy of ours from the womb, man. Matter of fact, let me start there. You see, because you're gonna come to find out, we are the Hebrew Israelites. Esau, the so-called white man, he is himself. He's also a Israelite, but he's a red Hebrew Edomite. You see that? We're Israelites, but he's an Edomite from a different. He's a different. He has a different tribe, so to speak, quote unquote. But we are our own tribe. But we're brothers. Why? Because we come from the same father, from the same Hebrew lineage. You know. So this is Genesis chapter 20. Chapter 25. And I'm gonna start at verse 21, and it reads, "And Isaac entreated Yahweh for his wife because she was barren, and Yahweh was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived, and the children, so these two children that Isaac and Rebekah had, you're gonna come to find out these are two progenitors of great nations. The one nation being the nation of Israel, and the other being the nation of Edom, which is the so-called white man. All right, it says, and the children struggled together within her. And when she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord, man. So these two kids, these two twins, they were struggling within their mother's womb. That goes to prove the hatred for each brother, for each son. They don't go together, meaning they're set to be enemies from the get-go. Matter of fact, let me get this. That was also prophesied, man, in Genesis, the 3rd chapter. It says, this is Genesis 3. And I'm going to start at verse 14. And it reads, and the Lord Yahweh power said unto the serpent, and this is also a misconception, the Christian church, Christian dogma has pushed out upon the people, man. The fact that the serpent was an actual serpent, and the fruit they ate was an actual fruit. But come to find out, that's not what it was. The serpent was a man with serpent-like characteristics, subtle, slippery tongue. You see what I'm saying? Poisonous words, man. And those characteristics fit nobody else other than the so-called white man. All right, so the serpent is speaking about a man, not an actual serpent. You see, it says, and the Lord power said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust thou shalt eat all the days of thy life. It says, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman. You see? And between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. And this proves to you that this woman here is symbolic speaking of the nation of Israel, you know, because the Lord also said that, matter of fact, let me get that. This is the book of Isaiah 47. um, Salakia. Salakia. Jeremiah chapter 6 and verse 2. It says, I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. So the nation of Israel is considered as a comely and delicate woman. You know, the in the symbolic sense, they are the woman of the Heavenly Father. You see, so that's that woman that is talking about in Genesis the 3rd chapter. You see, so this enmity that was put between the serpent and the woman is really a foreshadowing of the hatred and enmity between the so-called white man and the nation of Israel. You see, because the serpent was Esau before he was an Edom, you know, before he was Esau. If that makes sense, man. You know? And it says, and between thy seed and her seed, it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. You see? So there will be a perpetual enmity, a perpetual hatred, and a fight between these two nations. You see? The nation of Edom and the nation of Israel. So when we go back to Genesis 25, it says, Genesis 25 and 22, and the children struggled together within her, and and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And when you take a look at that word struggle, it says to crush, oppress, to crush, to get crushed, to be crushed, to crush, oppress. You see, so these nations, they oppress one another, man. They were fighting in the womb, you know? And that's the case uh, even today with the so-called white man and the so-called black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You know, there's a back and forth enmity because scriptures speak about how light and darkness don't coexist. Neither does good and evil. You know, they can't be in one uh, stratosphere, so to speak, man. They can't be in the same room. They can't. They don't go together. You know. But uh, matter of fact, let's read this again. It says, and the children struggled within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai. And the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger. So this is going to show you, this is showing you the dynamic of those two children. How that one, they're actually two nations for one, you see, and they're two completely different manner of people, completely different spirits, but coming from the same father, you see. And then the one will be physically stronger than the other, man. And if you basically take a look today, who's stronger than most of these nations? The nation of Israel, man. They dominate in everything. Basketball, football, you know, soccer. See what I'm saying? Even hockey. They dominate in all sports, in all aspects of life, because that's the spirit that's been given to them from Yahweh Bashim Shai. You see? So the nation of the so-called white man, he is the top enemy of the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. You see? And he rejoices when he has his foot on our necks or when he sees us naked, man. You know? Proving that we have enemies. You know? Most importantly, the so-called white man being that number one. So when we jump to Psalms 83 and 1, and it says, keep not thou silence, O Most High, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult. You see, so these are the enemies of Yahweh Bashim Ashai, the enemies of the Heavenly Father, as well as ours, man. Because King David said, do I not hate them that hate thee, O Lord? And I count them mine enemies. You see? So we have enemies. The Lord has enemies, man. You see? And we're going to get a list of them. It says, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. And what's an example of them taking crafty counsel against the so-called Black Hispanics and Native Americans, man? You know, drugs, the media. That's crafty counsel because they're keeping us at bay, distracted. You see, Planned Parenthood, all that. You know, those are all a form of crafty counsel and witchcraft that the so-called white man, he's in a confederacy with these other nations, man, to keep us at bay. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. So this is their whole MO, man. Their whole mojo is to keep us from knowing who we are. You know, to keep us from our source, from our power source, which is the Heavenly Father, man. And I believe that's in the book of Judith that tells you how if we are plugged into Yahweh Bashim Ashai, you know, and we keep his ways and listen to his voice, that's, you know, nothing can come up against us no matter what it is. But if we're kept astray, you know, then that's when we are weak and feeble and we could be destroyed. And that's why the so-called white man goes so hard at destroying the image of the so-called Black Hispanics and Native Americans. Case in point, you know, these rappers, man, that's their whole duty, is to basically shame that nation so that when you travel, you go anywhere else, that image is out there. You know, these people are like this. This is what you know. They're bums. You know. It says, they have said, "Come, let us cut them off from being a nation." Like Lil Nas X, Lil Uzi Vert. You know what I mean? It says that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So his whole purpose is to try to do away with the nation of Israel. Once again, that enmity, to destroy one another. You see, it says, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. And this confederacy is not just the so-called white man, but these other nations. The head of that table being the so-called white man, man. It's gonna tell you that the tabernacles of Edom, you know, the Ishmaelites, the so-called white man, the Arabs of Moab, and the Hagarenes, man. You see, Gabal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, Ashur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot, Selah. You see, so these other nations, they're in confederacy against us to keep us at bay. They rejoice at seeing our downfall, at us being at the bottom, man. You see? So when we jump here to the book of Lamentations 2 and 15, it says, all that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? You see, because that was originally the lot given to the nation of Israel, to Jerusalem. You know, that they're the perfection of beauty and the joy of the whole earth. But, you know, these other nations, seeing our downfall, they clap at it, you know, making mockery of us, saying, this is who, you know, is supposed to be ruling the world, you know? But guess what? The Heavenly Father is going to turn the table real soon and put things right side up where they belong, man. You know? But the whole purpose of this lesson is proving that we have enemies, beginning with the so-called white man. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. Call Halayim La Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahshai Ba'Shem Rakadash. Until next time, Shalom.